I grew up during the Jim Crow era, and so life for me and my friends and family and all of us who are African American grew up in a time when the rules were pretty straightforward. There are things that if you're white American that you were privy to. If you were black American, it was a whole different story.
Doretha Edgecombe marched for her rights in the 1960s civil rights movement. According to the Federal Reserve Bank, wealth disparity is just as bad now as it was in 1968, and black people are still being disproportionately hurt by federal systems in place. Nearly half a century later, Black Lives Matter protesters argue the fight for racial equality is far from over. Hundreds of them marched right here down Fowler Avenue to express that.
It was a constitutionally defined peaceful protest. After less than 2 minutes, they did start firing pepper spray into the crowd. They did run towards the crowd. They did hold people down.
Local groups like the Black Collective movement organized protests around the University of South Florida and downtown Tampa.
At the end of the day, we have to educate ourselves. And a collective mind is always better than an individual mind. So that's why I really do appreciate BCM, because they are trying to build that family aspect within Tampa, which I think is important.
They organize street cleanups, carpools, fundraising, and even prayer circles. Yet law enforcement met peaceful protesters with rubber bullets, tear gas, pepper spray, and handcuffs. Emadi Okwuosa was peacefully leading a protest at Curtis Hickson Park when he was arrested.
After being arrested in Tampa, I've had PTSD because I've understood the power and the amount of control that police officers have. If they wanted to lie on somebody's name right now and imprison them for a certain amount of years, they could.
Locals are demanding change from the Tampa Police Department. This includes funding for community programs like mental health services, the foster care system, and the houseless population.
You're not fighting against these systems, then it really makes no difference.
Last month, Florida state representatives passed House Bill 1 in an attempt to make protesting punishable by up to 15 years in prison if it becomes a law.
Our governor spearheaded a campaign to enact harsher punishments and endanger the lives of Floridians.
It also protects counter-protesters from legal penalty if they kill or injure a protester.
We had one of our fellow members that was recently hit by a car while we were standing in solidarity with another group, and they brought charges to our member.
I was hit by a vehicle. I'm being taken, zigzagged around, and then when I'm asking for help, I get dragged out of the hood, put in handcuffs, get thrown on the ground, and then the driver comes out cussing me out. Why am I I'm the victim? So why is he nothing happened to him? So for me, I'm just it baffles me that we want to think that they're, the law, they have a badge to protect and serve, yet who are they protecting? The people that are standing up for people's rights? No, they don't care about us, especially if we're melanated.
Governor Ron DeSantis introduced what's known as the anti-riot bill after the killing of George Floyd sparked nationwide Black Lives Matter protests.
We were praying when I got hit. So it's just it baffles me that this driver, I asked him, please stop. He looked at me in my eyes for 3-4 seconds, and then with a smile, just floored it.
The Hillsborough State Attorney Andrew Warren warned its passage could disproportionately hurt minorities.
Allies will always have a privilege that Black people will not have. And that's what comes with the power of the majority and why their presence is so necessary, because they have to use that privilege to their advantage to protect the people that don't have those same voices.
According to the U.S. Census Bureau, only 17% of Florida's population is Black, yet 47% of Florida's prison population are Black people.
Even though I'm not a person of color, I can still see that, stuff's not quite right.
To lower the state prison population, a group of bipartisan Florida lawmakers introduced target sentencing and rehabilitation reforms. They would release elderly and sick inmates and provide incentives for education and rehabilitation programs.
Prison systems aren't in place to rehabilitate anybody. How high recidivism rates are is incredible. The amount of people that go to prison and never find a decent job is incredible. The amount of people that their lives are completely altered due to the fact that they can't vote, that they can't voice their opinion in society, which this is what the entire fact of a democracy is for. is for people to advocate for themselves. But once you go to prison, you're literally just, you're condemned, and you're neglected and put into a box of undesirable.
The proposed reform bills would save the state nearly $800 million over the next 6 years. The HB1 bill would cost taxpayers up to $17 million and fill up to 720 prison beds, according to a new fiscal report. Opposing Democratic House leaders argue the proposal alone is racist and unjust.
All of this is just to suppress our voices. But look at us. We're still out here, you know, and it still gets to me. But I'm still here, homie.
The proposal of HB1 has highlighted legislative opposition to a system that has disproportionately hurt minorities. Activists hope strength in numbers will lead to progress. The Black Lives Matter movement was just nominated for the 2021 Nobel Peace Prize. It is now the largest movement in American history. Reporting in Tampa, I'm Deanna Lampasona.